I'm Luminousz Ztarr. Welcome to the Luminousz Ztarr channel. My current subscribers, thank you guys and gals so much for being a part of our Ztarr family. And if you have recently subscribed, welcome to the Ztarr family. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how easy it is for a lot of us to normalize narcissistic codependent relationships. Please check that description box below for further details, such as the link to the presentation that I will be going over in today's video. And I want to thank everyone for his or her time in advance. The BS often reaches a level of redundancy. I mean, some things are not called for in order to get the narcissistic supply, but due to obsession, if not addiction, narcissists and some cluster B personality types will go to great lengths just to make sure that their false self-image survives and thrives. Now, due to other people willing to fix, rescue, or even share consequences with their narcissists. Okay, narcissists will get in hot water sometimes, but when they have others around him or her who enable them, this means codependency. Yeah, there are signs of codependency, put it like that. So people can often get lost in the relationship with him or her because they're so busy fixing, if not rescuing, their narcissist. This can be draining. This can be emotionally stressful. But on top of that, because we're putting so much energy and focus onto that relationship, if not the narcissist, this can also drain us. So you may want to watch your energy. You may want to watch your energy field. Okay, our bodies are going through a lot, not just our minds. They have crisis after crisis. But like I was saying before, sometimes they will get themselves into hot water. And then when we start sharing in the consequences, well, then that will really drain you. That will really make your health deteriorate, because now you're having headaches. Maybe you have ulcers. Maybe you have to have surgery due to some of these health issues. Okay, some people have back aches. They have back problems. They have all types of aches and pains in the body, which is also associated with symptoms of PTSD. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up PTSD, because this is another sign of trauma. Okay, so when you're going through the depression, anxiety, sometimes social anxiety is the result of having narcissistic codependent relationships for a long period of time. So when narcissists and cluster B personality types start to create their own crisis, be mindful of how you're too quick to run in there and rescue, whether it's bailing them out of jail or giving them some money, because they pretend to run out of money. A lot of narcissists and cluster B personality types, they usually have a stash somewhere that they don't want you to know about. Okay, but anyway, when they start to create their own crisis and you're ready to bail them out, kind of watch for that. When a person starts to normalize narcissistic codependent relationships, one of the things that you're going to start seeing is that he or she is too ready to rescue the narcissist and cluster B personality type from all of their scandals. Okay, all of the broken promises that they have made, maybe to other people, and you got to go in there, or you think you got to go in there and bail them out because somebody else is ready to kick their asses. Okay, and you may have to bail them out of jail or something like that. But another way we normalize all of this is because we become addicted to all the chaos and all the drama. Like I stated, scandals, promises broken, the diabolical tactics that they engage in. Okay, the shenanigans that they pull seemingly every day, all day. They don't seem to let up. So where do you get a break? How do you live your life? How are you going to get a peace of mind? Well, it looks like you won't be getting those things because we normalize narcissistic codependent relationships. And unfortunately, we can become addicted, if not obsessed, by it all. Some narcissists and some cluster personality types, they can come off a little thirsty, a little desperate for that narcissistic supply. So I'm bringing this up because on the other side of the spectrum is the narcissist being addicted, if not obsessed, with the codependent narcissistic relationship. Okay, because remember, they want that supply and they don't want to run out. One of their worst fears is that they will run out of narcissistic supply. So sometimes, again, they can come off a little thirsty. Since they may come off a little desperate or thirsty, some narcissists and cluster B personality types can be a joker, okay? Or they can be considered jokesters. But the bottom line is this: when they're pulling shenanigans and when they're engaging in diabolical tactics, unfortunately, they will, from time to time, pull the rug out from up under you. When they pull that rug out from up under you, then you may feel like you've been the joke or you've been the butt of their jokes. Now, when they start to smear campaign, this is reflective of that. Because after they pull the rug out from up under you, then yeah, often they will recruit their flying monkeys to chime in on what a joke you are. Now, I'm not saying this to hurt anyone's feelings, because some of us have already gone through this. After they have discarded you, then the smearing campaign comes in. That can also increase or amplify or intensify your anger, your hurt, after they pull the rug out from up under you. They are often in awe of pulling that off, while they leave you in shock that they have done so. So watch for that shock and awe effect when we're normalizing narcissistic codependent relationships. Because believe it or not, some of us are addicted to this. No matter how many times they pull that rug out from up under, which they live for, by the way. Narcissists and cluster B personality types, sometimes they immediately go right into the smear campaign. And they get their recruited narcissists, they recruit their flying monkeys to chime in on how easy it was to set you up that way. So this way, you're starting to feel sad, you're starting to feel angry, you're starting to feel like you want justice, but yet somehow you get hoovered right back in. Because when they put the Svengali spin on it, that's just another level. That's a whole new, it's really not a whole new game, but it's another level in the gamesmanship. Now, this is another way that some of us normalize narcissistic codependent relationships, because we're under a spell, we're bewitched or whatever by the narcissist and cluster B personality type. And then we're in a sunken place and we're wondering, well, why even bother to get out? And then again, we're normalizing it. We become accustomed to being in such an environment, even though it's not very healthy for us. So with all of the shenanigans, all the broken promises, all of the diabolical tactics that they're engaging in, one may think from looking out on the outside looking in, they may be like, well, how can you think that's normal? But see, unless you've gone through it, you really don't understand how easy it is to normalize narcissistic codependent relationships. Some narcissists, who some of us may consider jokers, they will often make others the joke, unfortunately. And after this is all said and done, some of us who are normalizing all of this, we will be hoovered back in, unfortunately. Narcissists and some cluster B personality types very often have no intentions of treating others with honor, respect, or love. Okay, but it's very amazing to me how a lot of us are still getting pulled in. I mean, I understand it, but on the other hand, it's like, narcissists and cluster B personality types, their tactics can be so ridiculous, and sometimes just the level of the BS, again, is redundant. But they do these things in order to keep the narcissist supplied. When a person is under the spell of a narcissist, when they are in that sunken place, see, it's very easy to normalize narcissistic codependent relationships, because again, they're under a spell, and it may seem like they're very addicted to the relationship, if not the narcissist. One of the things to be mindful of is how easy it is to normalize the narcissistic codependent relationship, especially when we're talking about narcissists putting people under a spell, okay, or highly manipulating them, okay, to the point where they're really not thinking, they're really not critically thinking about what's going on in the relationship with the narcissist. And they may get caught up in their emotions, if not their egos, okay. They don't want to be seen as a failure, especially if they're married to the person. This can be a family situation as well. So it's very easy to just normalize the narcissistic codependent relationship, but often in the long run, it's not very healthy. Okay, biochemical addiction, neural pathways, stress and reward systems, neuro-linguistic programming. So let's go right to the biochemical addiction first, okay? All right, so what keeps trauma bonds intact? Well, the neural pathways combined with biochemical addiction. So when we're dealing with these two things, it is very easy for a person to become obsessed, if not addicted, to the relationship. Translation, he or she can normalize narcissistic codependent relationships. All right, so biochemical addiction. Biochemical addiction ignites the primordial conflict, keeping him or her locked into a codependent relationship with cluster B personality types. You know, the primordial conflict can be, well, should I leave? Should I stay? Even though, you know, when a person normalizes the relationship, this is part of the, you know, this is just part of the drama that he or she goes through. So the primordial conflict is just a way that a person may start to question whether or not he or she has had enough of the drama. They've had enough of the conflict. They had enough of the broken promises. Have they had enough of all the shenanigans and the diabolical tactics that their narcissist, you know, seems to be engaged in? All for the fuel, all for the control, and of course for all of the narcissist supply that he or she can muster. All right, all the things that they can stand. But see, the narcissist and the cluster B personality type, they often keep that drama and conflict going because it feeds their false self-image. If they can get you to look bad, then that's easier for him or her to consider themselves looking good in the relationship. So when they have deemed you fallen from grace, then again, narcissists and cluster B personality types, they often sit back and they look at themselves as being all good, while they look at you as being all bad. Biochemical addiction can ignite that primordial conflict because a lot of us, at the end of the day, we really don't want to be seen as bad people. And narcissists usually intuitively know this, so they will play on that. They will play on your emotions. All right, so here we're talking about the reward system. Trauma bonding indicates an insecure attachment style, which can activate the reward system, while dysfunctional relationship is active. The pleasure principle is often what motivates one to continue to invest in a toxic relationship with cluster B personality types. Okay, so it's the pleasure principle that one may want to really focus in on, because one may ask, okay, well, why do I stay in a relationship that's so full of drama and conflict? Well, they're being rewarded for it. Okay, so the pleasure principle, in other words, they're getting some sort of pleasure out of it. I hate to put it that way, but usually when we stay in relationships, it's often because we're getting something out of it. Okay, and some of us, we're so accustomed to being in dysfunctional relationships with narcissists that we normalize it. So the reward system as well as the stress system will be ignited, usually when the relationship is active. So the stress system, be aware that withdrawal symptoms can occur due to dysfunctional relationships with cluster B personality types ending, which activates the stress system. Because I didn't want to jump ahead. This is what I want to talk about. So when the relationship is over, what happens? This is when the stress system will kick in. Because again, we're talking about the stress system and we're talking about the reward system. This is what motivates a person to stay in the relationship. But what happens when it ends? The stress system kicks in even more. It amplifies. The stress system is on and popping or is active even when the relationship is active, but it amplifies when the relationship is over. Okay, so be aware of withdrawal symptoms. So some people have described the narcissistic codependent relationship as being like a drug. Okay, so yeah, it is. It's highly addictive. It's designed to be highly addictive. This is when people start to notice from the outside looking in that you may have an obsession with the narcissist. You may have an obsession with the relationship. And you add on to that the addiction. So this can really keep a person stuck in the sunken place and locked in that codependent narcissistic relationship. All right. Okay, so the stress system. What comprises of the stress system? All right, hypothalamus, pituitary adrenal, lococalis, and social. So these again are what comprise of the stress system. What is this trump card? The subconscious mind can become more susceptible to mind control or to the effects of gaslighting techniques. which is why the use of neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, is often the trump card of the cluster B personality type or the cluster B personality types that you may be dealing with. Okay, so when they start to use neuro-linguistic programming to gaslight you, yeah, sometimes this will have a person slump down further into a sunken place. This is how some Svengali narcissists will put people under, okay? They're spellbound. This is how somebody might say, well, I feel like I'm hypnotized by him or her. You know, the narcissist or cluster B personality type, because especially if they put the seduction into it, and they put the charm on, or they may have some swagger. Okay, so be very careful about that, because this is often when the narcissist or the cluster B personality type can have the mind of those that they targeted. Okay, they can have the hearts of them, because they usually toy with the heart as well as with the mind. So neuro-linguistic programming, which can be used for good, but narcissists and cluster B personality types often use it for negative. In other words, they use it at the expense of those that they targeted. So if they have you spellbound, or you feel like you're hypnotized by him or her, that's the effect of the Svengali narcissist. Now, Svengali, I want you all to check out the video that I did about that. So check the description box below for that. Actually, no, wait until the end of the video and look at one of the videos that I have suggested to watch next. I think you'll find it very interesting. All right. Addiction to being hoovered. It is during devaluation and discard that some cluster B personality types, such as narcissists, may use subliminal associations, symbolic representation, along with their word salad to gaslight and bait for a possible successful hoover. So just because the relationship seems to be over doesn't mean that it's actually over. Because when some narcissists and some cluster B personality types get ready to hoover a person back in, yeah, it is often before the relationship actually ends. Now, I want to say something about the ending of the relationship. Usually, that's an illusion. Narcissists are often not really done with a person just because they may go away for a year or two. Sometimes they will wait up to 10 years to attempt to hoover someone back in. So a person can be addicted to being hoovered back in. Some of us have read the testimonies online. Some of us know some people who have asked the question, well, how come they're not hoovering me back in? You ever noticed that? Because some of us, we're normalizing this. So it gets to the point whereas we're even wondering why we're not being hoovered back in. If we are not immediately hoovered back into a very toxic, dysfunctional, codependent, narcissistic relationship. Okay, now I'm not trying to make it sound like it's melodramatic, but actually, when you're talking about narcissistic relationships, it can be kind of dramatic because of the effects of it. So when a person has been devalued, another way that you can tell that they're normalizing narcissistic codependent relationships is when they're asking the question, why am I not being hoovered back in? Who would really want to be hoovered back in to such a diabolical situation, such as a codependent narcissistic relationship? Just think about it, okay? Primordial conflict over codependent narcissistic relationships. Those who are emotionally invested in cluster B personality types often have this primordial conflict, which reflects how neuro-linguistic programming by their narcissist has been effective. Some of us ask the question, how come I'm not being hoovered back in? Why would you want to be hoovered back in? Just saying. Tool number 1, take off the rose-colored glasses. Your narcissist may not ever change. Okay, so take off those rose-colored glasses. This is just another way that we tend to normalize the narcissistic codependent relationship.
Alright, so check out the references and resources. Now, I didn't go over the rest of the tools because I know some of you are going to go ahead and look at those tools at a later date when you retrieve the link to this slide presentations. Okay, so for the sake of time, I didn't want to go through all of the tools. Okay, so check the references and resources at the end of the video, but first, check out that other video about the Svengali narcissist. It delves deeper into the trickery, okay, the mind of the narcissist, and how sometimes we get pulled in. And of course, leave your comments, and don't forget to like and share today's video. I'm looking at Ztarr, and I want to go ahead and tell everyone that wherever you may be right now, treat yourself very good, okay? Treat yourself very well. So until next time, stay tuned for more videos and stay tuned for more vlogs.